Hello and welcome to the Fiber Tales podcast. My name is Leah and this is a podcast about knitting, about my work as a knitwear designer, sometimes about my cats. She just passed me, that's why I was looking down. And just anything else I feel like sharing. I thought to start today's episode out a little bit different out here in the freezing cold. It's such a beautiful day. The sky is blue, the sun is shining. I won't be out here for too long because it's really cold, but I just wanted to say hello out here. I am coming to you from snowy Denmark, where it's really cold. I live on an island called Fyn with my partner and our two small children, and yeah, I have a lot of fun to show you in this episode. I have a new design that I will show you for the first time in the podcast. I also have a little roundup of cardigan patterns that I want to look more into because of their construction and the design. And so I hope you want to join me inside the warm house for a little bit of chat about yarn and knitting.
I can only chew my bones when I'd rather be with you. I'd much rather be with you, yeah.
So I'm back here in the kitchen with my cat Leah. The other one is sleeping upstairs. I thought to start out with talking a little bit about what I've been up to since the last time we spoke. The cold really came back this past week, and today is an extraordinary beautiful day with blue sky and everything is frosty and white, and we got a little bit of snow. I think I say this every time, but it should be one of the last days with frosty weather, but it just keeps coming back, so I'm really enjoying it. I think with the return of the light, the days are a little bit longer, and the snow that is brightening up the day, I'm just feeling so much more energetic, and it's just, it really changes how winter feels when it's really gray and rainy and above zero. It just feels so depressing, honestly. So it's I've been really enjoying the cold winter weather and the kids as well. And this morning I actually went swimming. Well, I don't want to call it swimming. I think it's called winter bathing. So I went with a couple of friends down to the sea that's not so far from where I live, and we went in for a dip. It was -3 degrees Celsius this morning, so it was cold. The water was actually warmer than the air, so going into the water was not the big issue. I can put a little video that we recorded here because you can see there's a pretty long walk into the water. There's a long dock or bridge. So the walk getting there is the hard part, and I really need to get myself, sorry, I have some fluff from the yarn. I really need to get myself a proper bathing robe. Is it called a robe? Because it's really cold and I'm using 2 towels. So it's not so glamorous, but it's a lot of fun, and we have the best time. Me and the 2 other ladies going there. We try to go every Thursday, but we haven't been going over Christmas. So it was cold, but afterwards I always feel so energetic and so like the blood is pumping a lot, which just is a really nice way to start the day. So it's worth it. Maybe not in the moment, but afterwards it's definitely worth it. It's also been a week of birthday celebrations. My little boy turned 5 and my partner turned 40. So we are getting into those kind of numbers. And we had the whole family over. It was lovely. So it's been really nice to focus a little bit on that as well. I've been busy writing down the pattern and getting everything ready. Not writing down the pattern. I did that a long time ago, but I always transfer my patterns. She keeps putting her claws through my dress and it's a little bit painful. I always transfer the pattern from a rough copy that I use for the testers into InDesign. And so I've been working on getting all that ready. And I just got an email from my tech editor this morning, and she said that the pattern, she corrected a few things, but otherwise it's ready. So I just have to add that in, which also means the pattern will be ready tomorrow, I think. But I will talk about that at the end. Yeah, and what else? And I also had a special visit this week on Tuesday. I had a visit from Helle from Danish Musings. If you watch her podcast, and if you don't, you should definitely give it a look. She's a very talented knitter, and since she lives not very far from me, it's about 40 minutes drive, I thought it would be nice to invite her over to a chat, and we had a really great chat about podcasting, about knitwear in Denmark, about all kind of things, designing. It was just really lovely to have a fellow knitter over who also is a little bit more involved in the knitting community. So it was so much fun, and we talked and talked and talked. So I thought I tried in my last podcast episode, I talked about being more involved in the knitting community in a physical way. So not just online, but also meeting up with other knitters. And I'm so happy we did that. It's just, it's so nice to have the online knitting community, but meeting up with another knitter in real life is just different. And we can sit and look at each other's knits and talk about things in a different way. So I totally recommend that. If you haven't done it or found anyone close to you who are can be a knitting friend. Okay, so let's talk about some knitting, because I have something really exciting to show you. I've been dying to share this design. I've been working on it for, I should check when I started working on it and put it somewhere here, because I had the idea and I pretty much made a quick sketch, swatched for it, and then cast on immediately. I was so excited for the idea. I've been teasing a little bit on Instagram, showing the yarn, because it's always also been a part of the something that made me really happy. It's a really beautiful yarn combination. I will get into all the details, but I want to show you the design first. And I just been really, really happy to have a design come to life pretty much the way I imagined it, without any issues, without anything, any changes. It just happened really naturally. It just grew from my needles the way I envisioned it. And I can't wait to share it. Now I already finished the body, so I'm pretty sure I won't do too many changes, so I think it's okay to show you. So here we are. This is the one. Let me get a bit closer. So this is a round yoke sweater with texture on top. So it has this, it's actually cables, but they're this very specific cables all around the yoke. I didn't do any short rows on this one, but you could, and I would put it in the pattern, how to lift the neckline if you want in the back. So to raise the back a little bit. I finished the hem yesterday and cast off and or bound off, I guess. And I'm working on the sleeve now. It's really light and warm and super soft and squishy, and it just, there's something about it, hit that exact balance that I was talking about in my last video, that I really want to have something special in the design, but also have it really wearable. And I think this one is just the perfect amount of something special, and then the rest is just very easy and easy to wear, I think. It just sits very nicely on the top of the body, and then the rest has a bit of ease, and it hits you just about, at least me, I have my waist here, so it goes a bit below. I think that's a nice length because you can wear it with pants down if you want to, but I can also tuck in the front a little bit if I want to show more of my waist. So I think this is a nice length to, if you want to have both options, because if you make it cropped, then it would pretty much have to stay cropped. And it's, but they're so happy. I will take it off again and talk a little bit more about the details, but I just wanted to show you how it looks like on, and this is the back. So yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna stay close to the camera because I wanted to show you some of the swatches I did. So this is the first swatch, and normally I'm really impatient when I swatch, so I just wanted to get a really quick idea of the design. So I did a few of these cables. I've used them before in my knitwear sweater that I designed for Lene. I don't remember what issue it is, but one of the magazines I designed this where it had these running up the sleeves and then around, and on the other side I also used it on my Fier cardigan where the cables come down here. So it's a little cable I've been playing around with before. I don't like to overuse an element. Like, I like to use them when I feel like some inspiration hits me, so not just place them on a lot of different items, but I like to come back to some of the elements that I really enjoyed in the past. So I was also playing around with some brioche, but I felt it was very dense in this yarn, and I will come back to the yarn as well, but I just felt it was a little bit too dense, so I decided against it, and just to keep it simple with stockinette underneath. Then I made my second swatch, and this is pretty much the swatch that became the yoke. So from this one I got the length I wanted, and then I knew this is how I wanted it to look. And it's very rare that my swatch actually looks like the finished product. So here we have it's like columns of cables coming down, and on the back all the floats, because I was trying to see how it would work in the round. And then it just turned into the finished garment, and that is just, as I said, not exactly how it always goes, but it was just it just felt so right. And I love how this cable looks in this yarn, so that's also why I came back to it, because other times I've made it in different yarns, but it just looks so different in this unspun. For the sweater I used a combination of two yarns. I used the Knitting for Olive silk mohair and held together with Wool Dreamers Manchelopis, and it's just a really special combination. These two yarns, they complement each other really well. They are one yarn is very matte and rustic and soft, but in a dry way, and the other one is very strong and has this sheen, a luster, and is more lively. And so when you combine these two, you get a bit of the best from both worlds. I feel you bring some strength and some strength and structure to the Manchelopis, and it also makes it a lot easier to work with. So when I'm knitting, I don't break the unspun yarn as easily. It actually pretty much never happens unless I get up and I didn't realize it was wrapped in around my foot, or a cat starts to play with the ball or something like that. Unless that happens, I don't really break it. So I think it's the perfect combo. These two colors are beautiful together. This is the natural color of the light natural color of the Manchelopis. I will figure out the name and put it below. And this one is the old colorway in the Knitting for Olive silk mohair, and they're just, it just makes me really, really happy, this combination. I just find that it creates this very soft, cloud-like but durable fabric, and it's very warm, so it's really nice for garments that you can wear both inside and outside, because it's not too heavy and too warm. I was asked by a few people how it holds up, and I haven't worn it before, so I'm always a little bit tentative when I use new yarns, because I would like to recommend only yarns that I know also last really well. But I got a message from Leah from Craeft, and she said that showed me some pictures of garments she knit in this combination, and she says they last really well and they looked pretty much brand new, and they were kids' clothes and they get a lot of wear. So I'm feeling quite positive about the wear on this one. I also got some other comments and everyone said the same. So I think it's a good combination. I will of course let you know if it turns out not to be a good combination or anything else happens, but it seems that it's gonna last and it's not gonna peel too much or anything. It didn't show any peeling. I generally don't find unspun yarns peel a lot, but I think it depends on the combination. And I was a little worried since this one has less of the long staples and those longer, more stiff hairs, that it would last the way it would last. But I think it seems it will be a good choice, and if it is, I will definitely use this in the future again because it's so soft. It doesn't scratch at all. I find if you compare the Plötulopi to this one, the Plötulopi is also for me okay, especially when I hold it with the silk mohair, but it's definitely a different kind of rustic, and this one is just so soft. It's not prickly, it's just soft rustic, and I just really like how the texture looks in this kind of yarn. So I'm very happy with how it turned out. There's one thing I wanted to mention about the Manchelopis that I don't like compared to the to when I use the Plötulopi, is that the Manchelopis, and it is nice if you are using 2 strands of it together, but the plate is wound in a way that you have the 2 strands running together. Let me see if I can find. Okay, here they are. So so as you can see, they kind of go together both on the inside and the outside, and that means when you want to work from it and only use 1 strand, it's a bit of a mess. So what I've been doing is I've been winding 2 balls at the same time from this one, and then I work from one ball and then I work from the next ball later, and I just rub them together to splice them. They are so easy to splice. You don't even need split or anything. You just take 2 pieces of like these 2 strands here. I just put them one on top of the other, and then what you can do if it seems a little too bulky is you can just pull it a little bit to make it a little more thin, and then I just roll it like this, and you just make sure that the whole part is integrated, and then you have your yarn again. So it's really easy to combine the yarns, and now I'm going to confuse myself because I'm like, where are the ends? But it's just really annoying that it's wound up for this. When I only use 1 strand, it's really annoying. If you're using 2 strands, it's perfect, because normally then I would pull from the inside and the outside to get 2 strands together. But when you only want 1 strand, or maybe some of you have found a way, but I tried both pulling from the center, from the outside. I haven't found a way to avoid this, so it's a bit of a, I would say I am viewing this when I work with the unspun as a bit of a lesson in slowing down and enjoying my knits, because you cannot pull too hard and you cannot yank on the ball, then it breaks. You have to be a little more gentle, and it's the same when I'm winding the balls. It is a bit of a pain, but I just think, okay, this is part of the process, and then I don't think too much more about it, and then it becomes, I just sit down, put the ball in front of the plate in front of me and make 2 balls, and then I watch some TV or do something else and listen to some music, and then it doesn't feel so annoying. Yeah, but I just wanted to mention that because it has been a little bit annoying for me. And that's another thing, if it's easier if you find it hard to work straight from the plate, then just wind a ball, like I have it over there so I cannot show you, but the ball like I was using for the sweater that way, it's a little bit easier that you break the yarn less. That's what I find. So, and lastly, I wanted to mention the name. I was thinking about, sometimes I have a clear inspiration for a pattern and then the name comes to me really easily. With this one, I didn't have anything clear. I just really liked how it looked, but it keeps reminding me of like leaves and of plants with a lot of leaves going up, and then that made me think of the plant called Perikon in Danish. So I named it the Perikon Sweater. Perikon is a plant that you can use, it's been used through time as a natural remedy for depression. I know it more as something you use in snaps. My parents make snaps with it, so you put it into alcohol and you make a drink from it, and it has very specific taste that I actually really like. And yeah, it just seems to fit really well with this one. So that's the name I went with. It's called the Perikon Sweater, and I'm thinking I will finish one sleeve and then I will get on to writing the pattern, or finishing up the pattern. I wrote down everything else, and then I will look for testers. So hopefully I can have it out this winter. It's a really quick knit. So I knit this on size, what are these? The body is knit on 4.5 millimeter needles, and that is in US. Just a second, it says here it is 7. So it's on US 7, and it's really quick to knit up. It's it's not the top is like this little bit potato chippy, so you just want to keep working until the next round to see what it will look like. So I find it really, it's fun in the beginning, and then the rest is just really smooth and easy sailing. So it's not something that it's not a sweater that takes a long time to make. So hopefully it can be out this winter. It would make me really happy to have it out quickly because I enjoyed it so much. So I hope I can have it out, and maybe I can see some of you make this one this winter, and that would be a lot of fun. I just want to mention a few things about my Bakker Shawl. I showed it last time, so I'm not going to go too much into all the details again. This is my big and beautiful Bakker Shawl that I really love because it is just like a blanket but also like a scarf, and you can wear it in so many different ways. As I said at the beginning, I think it should be ready for release tomorrow, so I just wanted to mention that. And I got a few questions about the yarn, so that's actually why I just wanted to bring it back on, because I didn't talk much about the yarn last time, so I just wanted to show you. I used a combination, whoops, and then one fell. I used a combination of this Isager silk mohair in the colorway 68, and it is just the most gorgeous green, a little bit warmer green compared to this looks like a big mess, but it's how plates sometimes end up looking when you're almost done. Let me turn it this way and it looks a little more peaceful. This is the Plötulopi frost grass, I think. I don't have the label on because it doesn't actually stick to the plate, but it's really beautiful, cool, like on a gray icy background. You have these dark green with the orangey rusty specks, and I think together they make the most beautiful fabric. Again, when you work these two strands together, it just gives, it's always hard with the cameras, here we go, it just gives it gives a little more strength to the Plötulopi. So if I pull it like this, it normally would break if I only pull one of them. So if I pull the Plötulopi, it breaks pretty easily, but when I have it together with the silk mohair, it makes it a lot easier to work from. So yeah, it's really one of the combinations I like. Plus it gives it a little bit more softness when you add in the silk mohair. So I can definitely recommend this, and plus you can kind of tone your unspun yarns when you use silk mohair together. You can tone them in one direction or the other. You can make them more warm, more cool, more yeah, you can even play with some different things, and I think that's one of the fun parts of combining yarns, is that you can create something really different. For this next section, I want to talk a bit about finding the perfect cardigan, because that's one of the plans I have for this year is to find the perfect cardigan, or look more into cardigan constructions. I really love wearing cardigans. I find I overheat less easily. It's much better when you go from the cold weather into a warm house. You can keep it open like I am now and have the warmth on the shoulders, but you can also just take it off without having to mess up your hair and all kind of things. So it just feels a little more easy for me with cardigans. I feel like you can adjust the temperature better than with a sweater, but for me it's still more, sweaters are just easier to knit, to come up with, generally because you can work in the round, but also because it's just, you don't have to think there are not so many details. But I love wearing cardigans, so I'm on the quest to find the perfect cardigan that will make me really happy. And to do that, I think I have to broaden my horizon on different techniques and maybe try to knit a few other designs, which I almost never do because I'm always working on my own. But I thought it could be really nice to see how other people both approach a design, but also maybe I can find a few things I like in their way, and then just feel inspired. And I think it's good to learn from each other without copying. I talked about that also last time, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but I just think it's really nice if we can learn from each other. And I think trying to pretend that we all invent everything ourselves is a little bit it's a bit fake if we all pretend that we come up with all the ideas ourselves. But I have a few cardigans I want to mention. I have one I didn't write down, so I hope I can remember it at the end. But I was just looking around. I had so many great suggestions, so thank you very much to those who suggested me cardigans designs you like, both for the construction or the design. But I have a little list of things, of some I want to look into. So the first one is one I actually think I could see myself knitting because of the design, and not so much because of the constructions, but I just think it has this easy but interesting cardigan with a few details, but not too much. And that is from a designer I didn't know about, but was recommended to me, called Soop. I don't think you say it that way. Soop Knits. I think she's Korean. It's a Korean designer. I am not sure right now, but I will check it and put, again, all the details are in the notes below. So if I mess something up or I can't remember something, you can always go find the info. And if I get to put it, you just drop me a little comment and I will add it on. But it's the one called Sera cardigan. And it just has these, I will put it next to me here so you can see, but it has these very easy cables. It has brioche, I think it is. It's just looks so easy and light, and I think I might knit that one for myself. Maybe this summer when I am not so inspired with designs, I could use some time knitting someone else's. So that could be an idea. The next one, and I looked at that one myself, but I was also recommended it by Knitweekend. Is it Weekend Knit? Knitweekend. Hailey, she wrote me and said she really loved this design. So it is the from Lene, Holme, Samsø. It's called her Mouliné cardigan. I wrote it all here, but I have to read my own notes, and sometimes that's the challenge. And it just looks like this very well-fitting basic cardigan, and I think that one could be interesting with the construction. I have been looking into that. I think it looks nice, and I see a lot of designers using the one where you cast on the back of the neck and the shoulders and then the fronts, and I think that might be something I want to try. So it could be fun to see how a few other designers make these, and one of them is the Mouliné cardigan. The other one I've been looking at is Ozetta has a cardigan called the Field Day cardigan that has the same construction, very simple, very basic, and those are really nice, but mainly for the construction I am interested in these. And the same Rosa Pomar, she has from Red Rosaria, she has one called the Badana cardigan. It's a bit more oversized, but it has the same construction, the same kind of fit, and I think that's a construction I really want to try. So one of these three, and my favorite thing's knitwear. That was the one that was missing. I think it's her number 8 cardigan, has this construction, the little more oversized fit, and they're actually all very similar with a few differences, and I think that could be a nice construction to build a design onto for me. So yeah, I'm bringing you along on the journey, and if you have any preferences for any of these designs, let me know, or for construction. I think for me, raglan has never been a construction I particularly liked. I find that the patterns look weird, the way I imagine patterns, so they kind of break them up. And for cardigans, I know they don't sit so well on the shoulders, they tend to fall off. And yeah, it's just a cardigan design I'm not too into. Round, like a yoke, but with an open front, round yoke where you increase in the round. I don't always like, because I prefer my cardigans to have a V or a more open front. I don't always like the ones that close with a round neck, so I'm not really looking so much into those. And then there's the really basic drop shoulder where you just kind of make 2 of the same squares and sew them together, or however you do it. And those 2 can be, I sometimes go back to the really simple one, but it's I wanted to try something a little bit different. And of course there's a contiguous method. I've tried that before, but it's a little bit much for my not very mathematical brain. My morale sweater that I was wearing in the last episode has a contiguous method, and it's really fun and it's really beautiful when you make it, but it's also makes things a lot more complicated maybe than they have to be. So I think I am looking into, I don't know if it has a name, the one where you kind of pick up in the back. If it has a name, let me know. But I think that's what I'm gravitating towards, and I think it looks like it has a nice fit, and I've been told from people that the fit is nice. And talking about cardigans, I wanted to mention what I'm wearing, because it's a cardigan design I made, but I haven't released because I still have some issues with the back that I haven't completely decided on. But it's a big brioche, squishy cardigan in my own gotland yarn. It is, as you can see, when you wear the gotland yarn, it gets this really nice halo, but it doesn't really peel much. So it just is very fluffy. It gets more and more fluffy, but it doesn't start peeling at all. I wear this quite a lot, even if I haven't finished the design. And this is a fun design, so when more than if I release this one, I will talk more about the construction. This is a little bit different construction than the ones I talked about. But actually I got I fell a little more in love with this design again, and I have plans to try to release it because I showed it to Helle from Danish Musings when she was here, and she said, oh, you have to release this one. So I will try to see if I cannot figure out what to do with the bag because it's driving me crazy. It's the really small detail, but I want all the details to be perfect. And for some reason, I cannot figure out exactly how to make the finish in the bag. And right now it's held together with a bobby pin, so let's not talk about that too much. My tea is getting cold, but it's still okay. So yeah, I think that's enough about cardigans, but that's definitely, I'm just taking you along on the search journey for not the perfect fit necessarily, but more like different constructions, different ideas for cardigans. So I also wanted to mention a few other podcasters today. I've already talked about a few of them, actually all of them I mentioned, so they're not so much new to say, but I still want to mention them and recommend them and add a few words to why I've been enjoying those particularly. The first one is Leah from Craeft, or the Craeft podcast. She recently started podcasting again, and I really like her aesthetic. It's very dark and moody and natural, and I just think, it's very close to what I like, and I find it very inspiring to watch. She has a little yarn shop and has kids too, so I really enjoy her podcast. So give it a look if you like the little more natural, moody stuff. I think you would like her. She also sews, so it's nice to get inspiration there. The other one is Danish Musings and Helle. It's a podcast I discovered recently. I haven't really been watching podcasts for the past year, so there are some that are new to me that kind of popped up recently, and it was just so nice to discover someone who was also a fellow Dane who podcasts in English, she's a really talented knitter. So if you like to learn a bit more about Danish designs and watch someone else who is in my end of the world, then you can go and give her a look. And the last one I wanted to mention is Knitweekend. I mentioned her before as well, Hailey, she just makes really nice things, and she has the most cute haircut. Is that okay to say? She has the sweetest little pixie cut, and she just is just such a nice person. So definitely also enjoy watching her podcast. So I just want to keep it at those three, and then as I watch more and get to know more podcasts, I can mention some more in some of the future episodes. The very last thing I want to mention is that I only have one skein here of the charcoal, but the rest is upstairs, is that I have the shop update on the 28th of January, so that's on next Sunday, and I will put times and everything so I don't mess anything up. And I will have both the charcoal and the grey. The grey is pretty much this color, so it's these two shades of grey. This one, it looks black, but it has this lighter grey in it. I wouldn't call it black, it's a really dark charcoal. And so I will have these two colors, and yeah, it will be the last update I do on this batch, and then I will have another shop update in the fall again. My parents already sheared the sheep in the fall, and then in the spring they will shear, and then we can bring it to the mill. So it has this little it's so funny for me as I'm getting older, and I've been doing this for a couple of years. Every time it's time to bring the fleece to the mill, I feel like, oh, it's that time of year again, and another year has passed, and it's really nice to feel the changing of the seasons in this way. So yeah, this will be the last one of this batch, but I think I will make the next batch exactly the same. So it's a DK weight. It is a 50-50 mix of Gotland blend with another local more soft sheep breed. So the Gotland has these more long stables, and the fibers have a bit of sheen to them, and then it's mixed with a more it's not merino, but it's more like a white sheep, fluffy, the one you normally would associate more with a merino sheep, is mixed in, and it is all organic, all local to me yarn. Everything is made here on the island, both the spinning and the sheep are made here. So yeah, I will have this update. If you got anything from the first update and you want more, this will be the last time. I think that was it for today's episode. I feel like I talked about everything. I probably forgot something. I always do. That's why sometimes it's hard when you sit in front of the camera, because even if I take notes and everything, you have to kind of pay attention to everything at the same time. So I hope I mentioned everything. And again, if I didn't, they will be in the show notes, or feel free to ask in the comments. I really enjoy reading your comments. It's so nice. I try to answer when I can, but I will always talk back to you here in the podcast. And if you want to follow me a bit more, then over on Instagram, I'm the most active. I'm not really active on Ravelry. I'm really sorry about that. It's become a little bit scary to open the messages because there are a lot of them and I haven't been keeping up with them. So just at the moment, if you want to ask me anything work related, then write me an email. And if you just want to catch up with me and chat, then Instagram is the place. And yeah, I really appreciate if you leave a comment and subscribe and a little like. I don't say that very often because I feel it's hard to say, but it really helps and it makes me so very happy. I hope you have a lovely day and enjoy the winter. Bye!